Wake up! 金色の眠りから覚めて誰の心も見せやすまい命の色は一つなのに Break up, break up すさんだプラネット息づく星のエナジー貪るように飛び立つ空を壊されても Transform, you can fly Transformer 瞬く宇宙のデスに染めて You can fly Transformer 形を変えた秘密の瞳燃え上がれ We are the only one
Hello everybody, and this is going to be all three reviews of the Transformers franchise films. Well, at least I wouldn't call it a franchise, but people might consider it a franchise. So, this should be an interesting action flick for many Transformers fans out there who actually know the majority and the originality of Transformers. Then I can definitely say that this is definitely not based off the 1984 original Transformers anime. You know, that opening that you just saw right now, that's basically it. That's how I'm gonna go by. I'm gonna compare all these to the original Transformers. So this movie doesn't really disappoint. It's actually pretty great, but I just hate how it doesn't really, most of the things in this movie doesn't add up to that original anime. The soundtrack is like, how can I put this? I understand this is a live action, but they should have just took the music from the original and like at least remix it and make it into this, like put into this, like to this day, you know. Instead, we just get like some other music that many people would be interested in. But I don't have a problem with that, man. I just think that it didn't actually add to the style for this kind of matter, because you know this is Transformers. This is now like this sort of is based off the plot line of the original, where Megatron wants to take over the universe, and he tries to do that. But see, I just think there were some minor drawbacks to this. I also really hoped that some characters from the original were in this movie, or to be in this movie. You know, kind of like Starscream. He made it to this movie. But sadly, they changed his colors, which I'm really pissed off at. And they, of course, didn't make Megatron like how he's supposed to look like in the original. He looks like a fucking cone head. I mean, look at that. Well, not exactly a cone head, but I just don't like it. I mean, seriously. And why does Megatron transform into a jet? He's supposed to transform into a gun. You know, like, seriously. And I should add that Starscream would have looked way better in those colors than just plain old grayish white. But it made you guys just made it confusing by turning them both, Megatron and Starscream, into jets. Now, seriously, my favorite comedian who I want to be friends with is this dude, Anthony Anderson, who's in the movie. He pretty much like put too much comedy in this movie. I mean, he should have never been in this movie. I mean, this is Transformers. There's not supposed to be any comedy in it. I mean, like, are you guys gonna take this seriously, or are you just guys gonna do your own thing? Because like, this is Transformers. It's supposed to be what it's supposed to be. You just like throwing things away and just like putting other things that are not supposed to be. But this is actually based off something. You know, something. This was actually new at the time. So you know that something was never done like this before. Anthony only made me laugh at one certain part of the movie. That's it. And he was like pretty much to me a distraction to the film, because like this movie is supposed to be taken seriously. And I'm sure this movie is pretty much for everybody. It's not just for kids. It's not just for adults. Due to its visuals and the story plotline, I think it's for everybody. I hated the corniness in the movie, because it was dropping my faith in this movie. Because, like, again, it was supposed to be taken seriously. And Optimus Prime, well, his name is Convoy in the Japanese, which is the original name, so I'm gonna call him by that. Convoy was actually kind of balanced out as well, so this movie is actually great due to its CG motion and a ton of explosives. So the good I can say about this movie is that it flows out like in the original, sort of. The bad I can say about this movie is just so much distractions by the corniness and Anthony Anderson and so much inappropriate lines that kids shouldn't even hear as well. You know, it's just so distracting and so inappropriate. This is a great movie and it doesn't really disappoint. And this is probably based off a different Transformers that I don't really know. So please, guys, let me know on that if you're a real Transformers fan. So, yeah. The 1984 original anime is the only thing I know about the Transformers, and I didn't really watch much episodes of the Japanese version. I only watched the dubbed version, sadly. Can you guys let me know how to find the Japanese episodes? And now on to the second film. Okay, so this is Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, which a lot of people say this movie sucked for some odd reason, and Michael Bay actually admitted it. So, I actually don't see what made this movie suck. Because I rewatched both of these before watching Dark of the Moon. So, you know, this sort of follows the same plot as the first one, where where only the Autobots and the Decepticons know that Sam holds the key to Earth's survival. This time, everybody, every single person in the entire planet knows that it's Sam who actually is the key to everybody's survival, and not just the Autobots and the Decepticons. So, I don't know. Oh, and this follows up to the first one where Optimus Prime and Megatron fights just like how they did in the anime. Check it out.
Megatron cubes, get them out of here! You destroy everything you touch, Megatron! Because everything I touch is food for my hunger for power! No! I'm going to end your hunger once and for all. Almost time, but almost doesn't get the job done. You can't stop me! You're old, Megatron. Yesterday's model, ready for the scrap heap. We'll see who's ready for the scrap heap. Junk! That's what you are. Junk! Silence! When I'm through with you, Prime, there won't be enough pieces to sweep up.
So yeah, they did it like that, but a little bit more better. And of course, I should have mentioned this a long time ago before, that Bumblebee is in this film, who is supposedly supposed to look like this, but yeah. So the Fallen is the Prime villain in this film, who was first known as Megatron as Prime, and I don't know if he was in the 1984 original anime, so, you know, tell me if he is or if he's not or whatever, and yeah. After rewatching this before the third one, I was being convinced that these Transformers films are definitely not for kids because of the inappropriate language that they use, and then they censor it in a way, like, if they try to finish a curse word, they just, like, quickly go to the next shot. Like, seriously? Like, is this for adults or is this for kids? And of course, I should mention Sam's parents in this movie, who are just throwaway characters, because seriously, they're not really that important. I mean, they were important for the first film, but, you know, they were just annoying in the film, and then it just didn't catch our interest, and, you know, which is the only reason why they barely had any screen time in the film. If I'm correct on this one, I think I figured out why they say the movie sucked. It's because at the certain part where Megatron shot a missile at Sam and he fell out and he knocked out unconscious, he was just imagining where there's other Autobots, I think, where they're talking to him about, you know, reviving Convoy and, you know, protecting the universe, which, you know, it just seems very cliche, like one of those worst cliches that doesn't work anymore, especially to this day, and it just had that weak, perspective to it, if you think about it. Then Convoy comes back by the Matrix, and then he comes into a Gundam like no other. So, pretty much, these two films consist of three different things: annoyance, silliness, and fucking inappropriate language that are like not permissible to not suitable for the children, you know. But other than that, I don't really hate this film. I just hate that it consists those three things, which should not be in the Transformers film. I'm serious. I'm being completely honest because at certain points, this movie has its weaknesses, which actually throws me off and it pisses me off because it distracts me from trying to like know what's going on in this film and know the majority of this film and why the Fallen is like the boss of Megatron, because this is like really serious and you're just fucking destroying the excitement to it by adding those fucking three consistencies of these Transformers films. But now, on to the last Transformers film. Transformers Dark of the Moon. Alright, so I can definitely say that this movie of course consists of the three fucking things that I hate in this film, and there's a lot that I can say. Which the first can be that for some odd reason Megan Fox's wit is like swapped with this other white English girl, being Sam's girlfriend perhaps. And I'm glad to see how some of the people who are in this film, kind of like Soundwave, which I couldn't find a picture of how he was made in the film. And this is how they made Shockwave in the film, and he's supposed to look like this. Yeah. And another thing about this film is that there's this weird zoom in this film, which I don't mind zooms, but this is just fucking, it was weird in this film, which threw me off, and it just caught me off guard. If you take Jingle All the Way, the movie, for example.
Which reminds me, you got the doll, right?
It looks something like that, which was even weirder. And if you actually saw the film, you know how it looks like. And I think, honestly, Galvatron should have been the villain in this film instead of Sentinel Prime, because seriously, who is Sentinel Prime? I have never heard of him. And Megatron in this movie kind of sucked at certain times. And Optimus Prime was kicking the most ass, and there is a certain point where an Autobot dies, which I can't really tell you, because I can't really spoil in this movie. So, basically, the Autobots leave Sam on his own to finish the war, and now, for some odd reason, they find out that Sam can't do it, because obviously he's a human being or whatever. So, the Autobots actually come back to fight the Decepticons, and then this movie ends in a monologue, just like in Revenge of the Fallen. Exactly like and then it has another song as an ending. One thing I noticed about this film is that in the theater, the audience actually applauded 4 times because there was some really exciting moments of the movie. So basically, this holds out on something fantastic for different perspectives. And these guys are trying to fuck with me by adding something even more. 70% of the time, this movie cuts to black quickly, especially to censor a curse word that most characters were going to say. Like, why do you need to cut to black? What does that add up to? Seriously, what is the point of that? And then there was this strange homosexual moment between Sam and this Asian dude. And I hated how Sam was kind of a mix between a pushover and a fucking voice, because he screamed way too much in this film, which clearly indicates that he doesn't really play a good Sam Witwicky. And that is how I know that the consistency between the cursing and the silliness gets higher and higher and higher, which drops the redeeming quality of this movie. And I'm telling you this from my perspective, because seriously, enough of the silliness and the cursing, because this is Transformers. This is meant to be taken seriously, right? Especially for the kids who actually want to know about Transformers and explain well, alright? Another thing I hated is that Convoy didn't even keep his mask on throughout the entire 3 films, where he's supposed to keep his mask on every single time. He kept his mask on every single show that I've seen, and he never took it off, which is a one little thing that you can't get correct. And this is another one of those films where it could feel long, but it just feels the exact same running time as the other 2 films, alright? The next film review is going to be the one and only Captain America: The First Avenger. I am so craving for that film. Alright, so I was also surprised to see Patrick Dempsey in this film. And the first 20 seconds, like, how this movie starts, you're just gonna see the white girl's ass for 20 seconds. Alright, so that's it. And the rest of that just goes on. Alright, so 9 out of 10 for this film. And thanks for watching these reviews. I hope you take my words for it. You don't have to, but hey, certain people have different opinions, alright? Thanks for watching.
To me, yeah.